Hello and welcome to the In a Nutshell podcast with myself, Andrew Miles Davis, my co-host Chris Branch. This is the daily 10-minute podcast where we take out all of the techie talk around generative AI and focus on what the everyday person, content creator, and marketer wants to hear. Now, we've only got 10 minutes, so we can only focus on one particular subject. And today, as it's Friday, we're going to talk about AI news and what's been going on in the world of AI in the last 7 days. And as per usual, there's a lot. So what we're going to do now, we're going to start, first things first, actually, we'll talk about what's been happening with the platforms, because there's a lot of movements that's been going on with different platforms. So one of the things that's been happening, and that's Facebook. And Facebook announced today, really, that it has the ability, or hopefully it'll be soon, to enhance a photo using AI when you've uploaded it. So they're calling this the expander, and it seems to be like generative fill. So if you don't know what generative fill is, you're looking at a picture which is square, and if you wanted to turn that square picture into something that's horizontal or vertical, the AIs will kind of work out what will be in this space. So Facebook, it looks like they're using the same technology for you when you just upload your picture. So rather than go to Canva or Photoshop or Midjourney, you can just kind of do it within Facebook. And that's one of the things Facebook's done this week. And the second thing they've announced is, as they always do, tweak their algorithm. And they want to tweak the algorithm so you be able to see more relevant reels. Obviously, when I talk about Facebook, I mean Meta, reels in Meta, so Instagram and Facebook, but also other types of video. Now, it's interesting that they're doing this, i.e. recommended videos, the same week that TikTok's going through a bit of problems in potentially getting banned in America, and other countries will follow suit if they don't make certain changes. So that's kind of what's been happening in the world of Meta this week.
Yeah, and the other side of the coin, my favorite platform ever, Midjourney, they introduced probably one of my favorite features ever, which is something we've been requesting for years, actually, and it's to have a character reference. And this essentially means that you can now upload just a single image to your prompt, like my face. I made into Star Wars characters. I was Darth Maul, and I was Darth Vader, and I was even Princess Leia, just to make it fair. So yeah, character reference, if you haven't used Midjourney yet, a really good feature. You know, goes along with some of the news we talked about, though, a few weeks ago, which is there's thousands of companies that do this reference character thing, and now they're going to just be displaced by one new feature update by my favorite platform, because I'll never need to use them again. But yeah, on the other side of the news, another platform that we use very consistently, which is Pika Labs. They've become one of the best video platforms in the past, alongside Runway and soon to be Sora. But they have just introduced new sound effects, which is a really cool thing. Again, something we predicted is that they'll become multimodal, right? Like when they get really big and they're trained on tons of data, it's not just video anymore. It's now sound effects. So big news for them.
Yeah, what was interesting as well, I heard that Sora, when it does get released, and they mentioned that it was coming out this year, which, you know, it could be December, but they said this year, but then they actually also said in the next few months, so fingers crossed. They said it's going to include sound as well.
Right.
So,
oh, really? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, I only found that out like a couple of hours ago. So
do you have to pay for that separately? Like
that I don't know. They just said it's going to come with sound. Yeah, they just said it's going to come with sound. So when they said that, I was like, oh, actually, what's going to happen with the other one? So yeah, that's going to be quite interesting. Yeah, interesting. Another thing that which was announced this week, which I think is going to be a game changer, not a gimmick, a game changer, and that's what Amazon's doing. If you noticed, Amazon's been very quiet in this space. They're doing a few things kind of like quietly, and then they're going to hit big, which is something that we've predicted many, many episodes ago. But what they're doing is soon, every page that you'll go onto Amazon, you know, you're looking at a product and you want to look at the reviews, but then you might look at the Q&As and you might have, I wonder if this does this. There'll be chatbots on each page. So you can go into each page, find out a bit more information, write those questions, and you'll get instant answers back from the AI. So that's something that Amazon's looking at doing, as well as if you're a seller, you'll be able to just use AI and it will automatically create pages, almost what like Shopify does, because that kind of does something very similar. So you'll be able to do that on Amazon as well very soon.
That's very useful for people that don't know what they're doing. It gets them, off the ground a lot quicker.
Yeah, exactly. I've sold stuff on Amazon before, and that could be a nightmare. That could be a really
Yeah,
off-putting. Mm,
exactly. So, yeah, really good, useful stuff.
mm,
In other news, Reddit, it looks like, is trying to introduce AI bouncers. And this is a
mm.
bit of a novel concept by the sounds of it, but they seem to get a lot of hate speech and other things in their platform, a lot larger than other platforms, let's say, because it is the front page of the internet,
Yeah.
and so you're going to attract a certain type of user. So it looks like they're going to start moderating using AI, which is not a new thing. Actually, a few people do this already, but it looks like they're really announcing it big and they're going to take it quite seriously. So let's see if the users find that they're getting moderated for no reason, because that's often the initial thing that happens. And they get a lot of hate, because it's supposed to be free speech in America
Yeah.
and all this jazz. So it's going to be a tough one.
But
Especially because they're anonymous Reddit
yeah,
users.
but as you mentioned off air, one reason why you think they're doing it, and that's because they're about to IPO very
Yeah,
soon. So
so
yeah, they have to
they're
clean up.
doing a massive cleanup,
Mm,
and they're doing this in all regards. Like lots of people have had issue with the API costs that they're trying to incur, and it's essentially to not have Reddit's data leave the platform, for free. And so
yeah.
yeah, they're going to take it very seriously because if their IPO tanks, then it's going to be a real downgrade to the community. So they're trying to make it as investor friendly as possible, I assume.
Yeah. Another thing that happened this week, or a couple of things that's happened this week, one in America and one in the EU or Europe, and this is more to do with legislation. So President Biden, he had his State of the Union talk, so he addressed
Mm.
multiple people in a room, as well as obviously the rest of the United States stroke world. And one of the things that he wanted to focus on was to do with AI voice impersonations. He wanted to kind of ban it. Didn't really kind of elaborate on how they're going to kind of do guardrails or penalties on any of this, on any of these rising AI technologies. But I think it was because he's seen his voice being deep faked already, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, we can't do this. So that's something that he said that he wanted to do. But what's happened on the other side of the pond, so in the EU and in Europe, is the EU AI Act. Now, this is the world's first comprehensive framework for constraining the risks of AI. So it looks like what's happening is that it's classifying products according to the risk and adjusting certain things when it can and can't. Well, so when it can or
Mm-hmm.
will be a potential problem. So there's certain things, certain platforms they're calling high risks in certain industries.
Mm-hmm.
Anything around education, healthcare, law enforcement, elections, they're going to be high risk.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to have the opposite side of things, which is going to be low risk. And in the low risk world, it's going to be things like spam filters, so AI. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be looking at these companies, moderating them, and then there's going to be some form of legislation called the AI Act or the EU AI Act that's going to
Mm-hmm.
kind of have quite tight regulations on them. So it was coming, it was inevitable that all of these regulations and legislations and laws were going to be there. But let's see what happens on that one. It's going to be interesting to see.
And what will the UK decide, I wonder? Because we're going to have different
Yeah.
things like that. And it looks like we're not so quickly going to make a regulatory framework. But we have just got the biggest, out of all European countries, and technically I'm classing us as European, even though we're not in the EU anymore, which is why we're not involved in this. But OpenAI and many of the others have set up office in London. They
Mm.
haven't gone to Germany or France or somewhere like this. So we're going to be working directly with the biggest player platforms and then maybe coming up with different, faster regulation that's talking to them instead of a collective decision amongst countries, which is always more difficult because
Yeah.
everyone's got their own opinion and yet you have to come to some agreement across everyone, which is never easy.
And what you're saying in theory is correct, but we've seen with some of the things that they've tried to do already where it's like, hey, we don't need to speak to other countries, so things should go through quicker. And it hasn't. So, yeah, let's see what happens there.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's coming up to 10 minutes, everybody, but there's just one more piece of news that I really want to talk about because I thought it was really interesting and it's something that's quite passionate to us. And that is Google's new AI will play video games with you, but not to win. So Google DeepMind unveiled Simma, so that's SIMA, which is an AI agent training to learn gaming skills so it can play more like a human instead of AI, essentially. And the whole point of this is so it can learn how to play any video game, even games with no linear path to end a game. And for example, to end games or in open world games as well. And they say Simma isn't trained to win a game. It's trained to run it and do what it's told. Now, that's what they say. But let's see what happens there. But I thought it was quite interesting what's happening in the gaming world, an AI that's trained to play the game but not win. So let's see what's going to happen there. That's very much that's what they're going to do for now, but agendas change. So
little AI companion, I like it.
Yeah, an AI companion. Let's hope that they're not sore losers. So let's see. But in a nutshell, that was the news this week.